Yes, my old friend, I've come to talk with you again, because a vision softly creeping left its scenes while I was sleeping, and the vision that was planted in my brain still remains.
Welcome to Book Time with Ryan. I am Ryan, and today I'll be talking about the Black Science Compendium by Rick Remender. Now, do you think his last name helps people with dyslexia or hurts them? Because if you're trying to spell remember and you accidentally spell Remender, you got it right. But I would consistently think that his last name is Remember. And it's not. I said in the mid-year freakout tag that the most beautiful book that I bought so far in 2023 was the Black Science Omnibus. And that's not what it's called. It's the Black Science Compendium. What does that mean? I don't know. I just know that compendium sounds pretty cool, but so does omnibus. So which one's cooler? What are the differences? I tried to figure it out. The closest thing I could find was it sounds like, at least for some comic companies, a compendium is a paperback, which this is, and it's a thick paperback. But and then an omnibus is a hardback, but I don't think that's a scientific definition, so who knows? So I know what else you're thinking. You're thinking Ryan's wearing another cricket thing, another Middlesex cricket piece of clothing. And if you've been following my channel recently, you know that I have really started to like cricket. And if you looked at my London vlog, you would have seen my hat, my cricket hat, also for Middlesex County Cricket. If you saw my review of The Body Keeps the Score, then you would have seen my test jersey that I have with the name Robbie White on the back, also of Middlesex Cricket. This past week, I bought myself cricket gear so I could try to find a league in my area to learn how to play cricket. And the helmet that I got is the most comfortable helmet I've ever worn in any sport ever. And I've worn a number of different helmets. And I was going to wear it. But then, you know what? I am going to wear it. It's so comfortable. And I feel very protected now. In fact, you know what? Safety first. Maybe I should wear a helmet for every video I do. I don't know. Maybe in an alternate reality, an alternate dimension, I would have been a professional cricket player. This is so comfortable. I could sleep in this. So, what is Black Science about? Well, I have to say, I had already read a few of the trade paperbacks that collected, I think, somewhere between 6 and 8 comics. So I had read probably somewhere between an eighth and a quarter of this, or not, I don't think a whole quarter, maybe an eighth of this already before I got the compendium. And I kind of needed some reminder on what had happened. This feels like a mix of dark matter, which I've done a review for. Check that out. It also kind of feels like the Council of Ricks and Rick and Morty, and feels a little bit like the Flash movie that I just saw with the kind of like Flashpoint multiverse thing. So we start with the main character is Grant. And Grant is a scientist. He's got a bit of an anarchist bent to him. He's against authority. We'll find out more in the book of why he is. But he's an inventor, and he's working for a company called Block Industries. And they're trying to find the cure for everything, the end of climate change, basically just progressing towards a utopia. And they developed something called a pillar. So they use a pillar to go across dimensions. And the idea was they would find certain things in other dimensions that would help them with their own dimension. different cures, righting different wrongs. But what you end up finding out is traveling across dimensions actually connects the dimensions in some way, and punching a hole through the dimensions causes dimensions to leak into each other, and that's bad. Also, they run the risk of hitting a dimension with antimatter and possibly ending what they're calling the Eververse. That's the general gist of it. They go through all these different worlds, all these different iterations of their lives, where Grant and his family, and most of the time here, Grant is trying to get back to his family, and he's dealing with different members of his group. Some are good, some are bad, but just a lot of confusion, and the pillars aren't necessarily working, so they kind of break sometimes, or they need to be fixed or reloaded or whatever. So they have a limited time in these different dimensions, and they're trying to figure out a way to get back so Grant can get to his kids, Nate and Pia, and then get back to his wife, Sarah. And then basically the entire series is about the difficulty in doing that. Now, you find some stuff out at the end. I like the way this book ends. I give this 5 stars. I like the way the series ends. I also like some of the things they figure out towards the end, which really kind of changes it up for me. There were moments in here where it just got confusing, and I don't know if that's because for the first eighth of this book, I had already read it a while ago and couldn't remember exactly what had happened, and I don't know if there were important things in that first eighth that I would have been fresher on had I read it straight through to include the earlier parts of it. I don't know. It's hard to describe without ruining stuff, and I'm really trying not to ruin it. Let me show you some of the pictures, though, because, and I don't have any specifically. This is the cover, and this just gives you an idea of how beautiful some of this is. This is like a kind of spirit person on a mountain that helps out Grant. I really like the artwork. There's a lot of action. The colors are amazing, and that kind of gives you an idea of the colors. There's a lot of detail, but it's not necessarily confusing. And then there's a lot of colors, including colors that represent electricity and radiation and explosions and fire. And I think done this way, and I've seen it done in a couple other comic books in a similar way, I think it looks great. And then the story is compelling. There are moments where it kind of got a little tedious just because it was like, please just do the right thing. Somebody stop making mistakes and get to know people and like them. And they don't always do that, but there was some of that. What you start to realize, hopefully this doesn't give away too much, there are a lot of parallel U's. And what would keep a parallel you from coming and taking over your life? This kind of happened with the death of Superman and the return of Superman. But what would happen? What would keep somebody from crossing over and doing that? And almost like Schrodinger's box. Or Schrodinger's cat? What cat in the box? If every decision is possibly 2 different realities, and these continue to branch off and 2 different possibilities that basically act in parallel or infinitely growing kind of net of possibilities, does it ever end? Or would it just keep expanding, and would you ever run out of U's to exploit when stuff didn't go right in your world? And are there other U's doing the same thing? And are some of those U's going to be aggressive towards you? That's why it reminds me of Dark Matter, and it reminds me of kind of the Ricks of Rick and Morty and the Council of Ricks. But I liked it. I can't really describe a lot more of it than that. I think this is the way it ended, I think this is it. They could probably go on forever. I guess that's the benefit of having an Eververse that infinitely expands you could just keep having comic books, but I don't think they do. I think this is everything. And I liked it. So if you like comics and you like the idea of time travel or interdimensional movement, different timelines, different life experiences, different dimensions interacting with each other, this is a fun book. And the art's great. So check it out. Black Science. And remember, whenever you're doing videos, safety first. Wear a helmet, wear a cage, make sure it's comfortable. And that's it. So thanks for being here today. I will talk to you later. Go Middlesex Cricket.